Hey everybody, this is Kara Crosswhite Brindle. Welcome to a new video series that I'm excited to kick off with one of my best colleagues and friends here today. This is called the pivoting practice. So all of our guest speakers are talking about how they've done a pivot in their business. For a lot of you, this is part of the burnout conversation and or just wanting to diversify and not get bored. So there's a series of questions that I'm going to ask each of our guests. We have 14 people coming onto this video series and Liliana is our first. So yay! So Liliana, I'll have you start by introducing yourself and sharing a little bit about what you're up to in this moment, because I do know that it changes.
Yes. So my name is Liliana Balon. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and then a bunch of credentials after that.
Alphabet soup. Yep.
And what I'm currently doing is focusing on consultation groups and presentations that I'm doing throughout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So public speaking, she's doing a little bit of everything. So it's fun to have you be my first person because I feel like as people kind of narrow down, here's what I do now, you're like, I do it all.
Well, not all, but yes, I do a little bit of all.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously I want to talk about how you pivoted into doing the group consultation, but also the public speaking. So you want to share a little bit of how that came to be?
Yeah. So if you were to tell me years ago that I was going to be doing public speaking, I would say, no, thank you. One, because that's a fear that most of us have, but two, because I was not born in this country and I have an accent, I always avoided that because of the feedback of some people. However, when you say, like, how do you pivot? Or, me pivoting in my practice is there was a need. There was something that I can contribute to. And therefore I decided if I don't do it, then who will? I turn around, no one was there. I was like, okay, let's do it. uh, and part of it was finding not only the need, but finding my voice.
Mm-hmm.
So as everyone else, I started as a mental health therapist, working towards licensure. Because I was working with the Latino community and I was doing sessions in Spanish, I needed to go and get training other models. And then like everything just came together. It sounds so easy. But then
make it sound that way.
so easy. But then after that, being able to have awareness of the difference in models and then working with the Latino population, I realized that there were things that people were missing in trainings. Mm-hmm. So that's where I pivot, and that's where I decided, let me talk about this. Is anyone else seeing these themes? Is everyone else aware of these things? And the answer was no and no. Then I decided, okay, let's do something about it.
Yeah, I love that. Like taking that initiative, and there's this gap in people's knowledge. So obviously, I imagine it's very rewarding and you're still doing it. So there's something you're getting out of it. Tell me what is like, I'm sure there's a dozen things, but what's one thing that you find beneficial about having this role?
One is I love taking risk. Something beneficial and something that is very rewarding for me is one, mentoring others and then holding doors for others. I had a hard time because there was no one talking about the themes that I was seeing. There was no one talking about the niche that I was working with. So therefore, I decided for the people who are coming behind me, and it sounds so weird, but I want you to have the image of holding a door. So the people who I'm holding door for, I don't want them to go to the struggles that I went to. So I want to normalize, I want to validate, and I want to share what I know, because I cannot see every Latino in the state of Colorado or, right, everywhere else. It will be insane. So there's no need for me to hold this information when I can share so that I can help others.
Yes, I love that. I think that's so important for our viewers to hear is that, I think we've talked about this offline, but for the most part, Colorado is pretty collaborative in the sense of like there's plenty of clients for everyone. And, having these pivoting opportunities, I think allow people to have more going on than just seeing clients. Because I know you and I both come from community mental health where you see 40 clients a week, and I'm not about going back to that. And I know you're not either. So from that burnout place, I hope our viewers can feel inspired to take initiative and figure out where those gaps are and say, hey, I can fill that gap. I can fill that need, just like you are.
Yeah.
Is there any challenge or kind of a piece of advice you would give someone who's listening to this video or watching this video going, I want to do something like that?
I think the first challenge that comes to mind is One is myself. A lot of the times I go internally into that imposter syndrome or that negative cognition and like, is this needed? Is this important? So that's part of my own work. The other one is because not everyone works with this population. And even if they do, there's a denial of what I'm seeing because of fear of, right? Like, that's not true. You're generalizing, and they keep missing the part of, I'm talking about immigrants, or I'm talking about first generation, or I'm talking about having having to live in two worlds. And what I'm noticing is that part of the denial from others is, that's not what I'm seeing. I'm like, great. So that means, are you working with someone who is third generation in, who is educated, who has assimilated? But I'm talking about this population. So there's a denial part that I have to keep naming over and over again. So the two challenges is others, because they're not seeing it or they have not figured it out yet. Sure. So there's always resistance when we name change, when we name these things. Right. And then two is ourselves, right? In this case, because I haven't seen it, because there's no template, then I go into, is this necessary? Is there a space for me? Especially being an immigrant and having a different narrative. Then I go into, what am I, is there a space for me? And then, am I okay saying this out loud?
Right. Like there's a sense of vulnerability here, right? To put yourself out there and say, this is what I've seen, this is what I know, especially if no one's really paved this path before you, or blazed the trail, if you will. That people might just say no because they're intimidated by the fact that you're filling the gap that's needed. So as I was listening to you talk, I was like, yeah, there's also this like self-esteem piece where people are like, oh, I'll be a naysayer to you, but are they getting up and doing what you're doing? No, they're not taking that risk. They're just sitting back and saying, oh, I don't think it has any value. So hopefully our viewers of this video aren't those people, but just knowing that this does take a lot of work. I mean, you've crafted the trainings that you do, the talks that you do, you've crafted your group consultation in a way that people know you, that you have a reputation. And now we've talked offline about how intimidating that feels sometimes. It's like, oh, they know your name. So I hope our viewers can be inspired by your journey of the benefits, but also the challenges. If they wanted to talk to you further, or, you know, set up a consultation to figure out how to build something similar to what you do, or any of the things really, where would they find you?
So the number one place that I will say is go to my website. You're going to find all the information there, email, phone number, and then how I can help with. And the website is my name. How easy can that be? So it's going to be www.lilianabailon.com.
Perfect. And I'm going to put your name down here so they know exactly how it's spelled and all the things.
Yes. That's another issue. It's just one L, people, just one L.
I know. When we first met, I mean, Liliana and I have known each other for years now, but when we first met, I kept putting that double L in there. I'm guilty of that. So if you do it, you're not alone.
No.
All of our unique name spelling, I guess that's part of it. So, but yeah, so it sounds like you're quite happy with your pivot, which is what this whole series is about, is helping people, you know, just open their eyes to possibility. And it's not just doing therapy, which by all means, you know, we both love doing therapy, but I think for our livelihood, our sanity, our burnout potential, it is important to diversify. So that's what this series is all about. Any last thoughts for our viewers, Liliana?
Yeah. Take risk. Be aware of your capacity. And when you are in a place where you feel regulated, when you have this awareness and you are willing to take the risk, jump. Don't think about it. Do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I have the image of that goldfish jumping out of its bowl. I don't know why. Probably because it's the big leap, right? That book.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm inspired by you every day. I'm sure people who catch this video are going to also feel inspired, and hopefully they'll reach out to you if they have questions. Thank you for being my first person on this series, The Pivoting Practice. I appreciate you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Viewers, stay tuned for more videos. We'll see you next time.